What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, talking about the movie pack, Dark Side of Dimensions. We got a bunch of new cards to discuss. We also have an entirely new archetype to discuss called the Cubics. Now, if I just had to take an educated guess, I would probably say that the villain in Dark Side of Dimensions is probably going to play this new cubic archetype. So I don't know if they're going to be getting more support in like sets like the Dark Illusion or Invasion of Venom, because Invasion of Venom is based around Star Venom Dragon, and that has to do with the TV show, not really the movie or whatever. But they are going to be getting these cards, and the archetype seems really top heavy. It seems like the boss monsters at the top of the totem pole are extremely powerful, and their fusion is, oh my god, he might literally be the most powerful monster that like he's top 10 most powerful monsters ever. This guy right here, when I read this card, you're just gonna be like, your mind's gonna get fucking blown. Like, how do you lose when you summon this card? It's that ridiculously OP. Also, the archetype is kind of weird. Here's more pictures of the archetype. I'm sorry, I wish I could blow these up, but the archetype's kind of weird because the attributes and the types are all over the place. They've got fiends, they've got fairies, they're earth, wind, fire, dark, light. They've got some beast in here, so it's kind of all over the place. So we'll just have to read over these cards and then try and soak it all in. So for starters, here is Cubic Combination. This is this card right here. This is one of the ways that you can bring out their top tier, their most powerful boss monster. It's a normal trap. It says fusion summon one cubic fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as materials. Effect number 2, during your player's turn, if a cubic monster is destroyed by battle or leaves the field, I like that, or leaves the field is very important. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one level 4 or lower cubic monster from your hand or deck, ignoring the summoning conditions, but it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect this turn. So this is basically like their version of polymerization, but it's a trap, and it has that second effect, which is really good, making sure that if your cubics if any of your cubics leave the field, then you can just summon another one straight from the deck, and it's pretty much like it's unaffected by it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects during that turn. So it's like a better version of poly, but a little bit slower. We have Cubic Karma. It's a continuous spell. I believe it's this one right here. It's a continuous spell card. It says when this card is activated, you can target one cubic monster you control, except jam the cubic spine. I'm gonna assume that this is pronounced jam, because with this V and then J, I'm gonna assume it's like a silent V or something like that. I don't even know if silent V is a thing. It says send any number of jam, the cubic spawn, from your hand or deck to the graveyard, then have the target gain 800 for each monster sent to the graveyard by this effect. So I guess essentially you can target a cubic, and then you could possibly send 3 jams from like your hand or deck to the graveyard. Probably you want to use your deck, and you could gain a possible 2400 attack. The effect number 2, if a cubic spawn is special summoned, or excuse me, if jam, the cubic spawn, is special summoned by a cubic monster effect during your opponent's turn, send this card to the graveyard, and if you do, half your opponent's life points. So here's the crazy thing about this deck. They have multiple ways of doing huge amounts of like burn damage to your opponent, and they have multiple cards that can half your opponent's life points, which is fucking crazy, because if you just do this when your opponent's at like 8,000, I mean, you basically rip them for 4,000 life points. That's really powerful. The third effect obviously is pretty good too. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one cubic monster from your deck to your hand. Also, this can be totally used during the turn it's sent to the graveyard. So it doesn't even have the whole breakthrough skill or like Galaxy Cyclone restriction. A lot of cards, when they have the dual utility, you can't use them during the turn that they're sent to the graveyard. Not with this deck. So I mean, just being able to have your opponent's life points like that is fucking incredible, because they really don't have that effect built into a lot of monsters. Nirvana High Paladin is going to be one of the cards, the first ever synchro pendulum monster that has an effect like that, but this deck has multiple ones like that. All right, next up is Cubic Mandala. It says activate this card. This card's actually really good. Activate this card while you control a cubic monster by targeting any number of monsters in your opponent's graveyard that were sent there this turn because they were destroyed. Special summon special summon them to your opponent's side of the field, but their attacks become 0, and if you summon them, place 1 cubic counter on each one of them. Monsters with cubic counters cannot attack, also their effects are negated. Effect number 2, while your opponent controls any of those special summon monsters, your opponent's activated monster effects are negated. Effect number 3, if all those monsters leave the field, destroy this card. So essentially, this is a way of, if any monsters go to the graveyard, well, you have to have a cubic on the field, but if any monsters go to the graveyard during a turn that this card is obviously set, you can flip it over. Well, no, it's continuous. So no, it says activate this card. Okay, so if any monsters go to the graveyard, you can flip this card over, you special summon those monsters back to the field, but their attacks become 0, and they obviously can't attack, and their effects are negated. As long as your opponent controls one of those, they can't activate any monster effects at all. It says activated monster effects are negated. That means they also can't activate monster effects from the hand. Like, they can't use Maxi or Effect Veiler. They can still activate them, they won't do anything. They'll just be negated. All right. Next card is Cubic Aura. I think actually this is a card that I was thinking of, that I like the effect a lot. Like, I think you could probably use this very easily. It's a normal spell. It says target 2 face-up monsters on the field, 1 cubic card, 1 cubic monster that you control, and then 1 monster that your opponent controls. Double that cubic's attack, and if you do, half that opponent's monster's attack. That is really, really insane. It's kind of like a old school card called, I think, like Ryoko Field or something like that. At one point, I think the card was like semi-limited. So let's say you have a cubic monster that's like 3,000 attack. One of their like really high monsters, it's like 3,000 attack. So let's say you have that, and then your opponent has a Scroll Acrobat Joker. Your guy would jump to 6,000, and your opponent's Joker would go to 900. Like, this is massive amount of battle damage that you can do with some high-end monsters. And it has a second effect too. Effect number 2. You can banish both this card and any number of cubic monsters, has to be a minimum of 1, from your graveyard, then target face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of banished cubic monsters. Place 1 cubic counter on each one of those targets. Monsters with cubic counters cannot attack, also their effects are negated. So essentially, the second effect is like a better version of Phoenix Chain, and again, you can use this during the turn that it's sent to the graveyard. So I kind of like this too. It basically, like, any monsters that have cubic counters become Fiendish Chained. They can't attack, and their effects are negated. They still get to keep their stat line, but it's really not really that important because they can't really do much other than, I guess, be used as like tribute fodder or synchro or Exceal or whatever. Now, this is the extra deck monster that I was talking about. This is their boss monster, their fusion, which may honestly be one of the most powerful monsters ever created. I am not exaggerating. Wait till I read this card's effect. You're going to be like, Cap, this is a top 10 most powerful monster ever. Let me see. This is the guy right here. I don't know if you guys can see the picture. Crazy thing about this guy, he's not even level 12, which is fucking like, what? He's not even level 12. This is Crimson Nova Trinity, the Dark Cubic Wicked Deity. Doesn't that sound like something that a villain in a movie would use? Like, that doesn't sound like a card that a good guy would use, because it has wicked right in the name, and you know what I mean? It has dark in its name. All right, it's level 10. It's a Dark Fiend. It's 4,500 attack. 4,500 attack, and you're not even level 12. 3,000 defense. It requires 3 Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Deities. I'll go over that card in a minute. It must be fusion summoned with the above fusion material monsters and cannot be special summoned by any other ways, but it is not limited to being summoned by the trap card, by cubic combination. You can just polymerization it. Effect number 1, and this is a common effect that Konami's building into everything now. Cannot be targeted by or destroyed by an opponent's card effect. So basically, it's just like Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon. I mean, you can essentially say that it is a Magispector. You can't target it and you can't destroy it by any type of effects. Effect number 2, here's the crazy part. This where shit gets fun. When this card declares an attack, half your opponent's life points. Oh my god. So before this card even goes into damage calculation, like, hypothetically, your opponent might just take 4,000 damage. If they're at 8,000 and you summon this, as soon as you attack, before you even go to damage calculation, your opponent is at 4,000 life point. That is fucking insane. But it gets even better. It gets even better. Effect number 3. If this card destroys a opponent's monster, or excuse me, if this card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate this effect. This card can make a second attack in a row. Why on earth would a monster that's 4,500 attack that fucking cuts your opponent's life points in half, why would it need a BLS effect to double attack? I don't even understand what. So basically, if you run something over in battle, you should pretty much just win the duel right then and there. Because as soon as you attack, your opponent's life points get cut in half. Then you have a 4,500 attacker doing battle damage, and then he gets to attack again. If you survive that, you are a fucking god, or you must have had like 10 billion life points, because I just don't see it happening. And then they gave it a fourth effect for who knows what fucking reason, because Yu-Gi-Oh! If you take effect damage, you can inflict the same damage to your opponents, just for the lulz, just in case your opponent wants to try and troll you with, like, I don't know, a burn deck. You get to just burn them right back. So this is like one of the most powerful monsters I've ever seen like created. All right, next we have Dark Genix, the Cubic Beast. It's a level 2 Earth Beast. See, that's what I mean. Like, this guy is a Dark Fiend, and this guy's an Earth Beast. So the attributes in the type for the Cubics is all over the place, to be honest. Its stat line is 0/0. Cannot be normal summoned or set, but it can be summoned by boom. Yeah, it can be summoned by what's it called? It can be summoned by Cubic Combination, the fusion card, because it says ignoring the condition, so you can summon it by that. But let's go back to the card. Must first be special summoned by your hand. Okay, that's supposed to be from your hand. Must first be special summoned from your hand by sending one cubic monster from your field to the graveyard. Effect number 1, if special summoned this way, this card gains 1,000 attack. This meh, it's okay. Effect number 2, when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target up to 2, jam the cubic spawns in your graveyard, send this to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon those targets, and then you get to add 1 blade, Garudia, the Cubic Beast, from your deck to your hand. Okay, well, we really got to know what the heck Jam, the Cubic Spawn, does, or this other card, to really analyze this card. But you technically don't have to summon it this way. You can summon it from the deck using the combination card. All right, now let's skip these cards because a lot of those are Magician and Dragon support. They're like Kaiba and Yugi cards. Let's finish off with the combinations, and then we'll go jump back into those cards. All right, let's go back to going. As you can see, there's a lot of cards to discuss, probably at least a dozen. Here's Crimson Nova, the dark the dark cubic deity. This is the card that you need to make the boss monster. You use 3 of these, and then you get the monster that fucking just wins the duel. It's a level 10 Dark Fiend, 3,000 attack, 0 defense. This card kind of is like, to me, it seems like it's supposed to be like a rival to Blue Eyes or something like that. And that guy is supposed to be like the rival to Ultimate Blue Eyes or something. You combine 3 of these and you make the big I Win Dragon. And then this is kind of like the Blue Eyes. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from the hand by revealing 3 other cubic cards with different names, or in your hand with different names, and cannot be special summoned by any other ways. So it's kind of like the High Priestess of Prophecy summoning conditions, but you can't summon it back from the graveyard with, like, you know, she could be summoned back with like Spellbook of Life or whatever. You can only special summon this card by its effect. It is a Nami. The third effect of Crimson Nova Dragon, or excuse me, Crimson Nova, the Dark Deity Cubic, the Cubic Deity. Oh my goodness, can't speak. Can only be used once per turn. The third effect is, I don't understand what they're doing with this archetype, by the way. Let me just explain that. Effect number 1. This card is unaffected by activated effects from any other monster whose original attack is 3,000 or less. So don't think that you can just cast this off the field. You can't even... I'm sorry, that's so addictive. You can't use like Ignist or anything like that. You can't use any monster effect that is activated that's under 3k. That's under this card's attack. Also, if this card somehow loses attack, it still won't be affected because it says right there 3k. So even if you cut this guy in half, you still can't target it you still can't affect it unless the monster is over 3k. Effect number 2, if this card destroys a monster by battle, you can activate this effect. It gets a second attack in a row. So it has the built-in BLS effect too. So it's very similar to BLS. Here's the third effect, which is nuts. During your end phase, inflict 3,000 damage to each player. I don't understand this effect at all. Not only is that a fucking huge amount, Can't this technically cause ties? That's one of the whole reasons that they errated Ring of Destruction, is because Konami, if there's one thing they hate ties in Yu-Gi-Oh! It is one of the most frustrating things ever. This card, if you're both at like 2,000 life points, and it's not optional, you have to do it. This card can literally burn both players to death. This is a very fucking scary effect. And it's scary because you can lose to it too. I would hope that you wouldn't, but still. Alright, next up we have Vulcan Dragny, the Cubic Emperor. It's a level 3 fire fairy. There's not that many fire fairies in the game, right? 0 attack, 0 defense. So I guess a lot of the little ones have like 0 attack, 0 defense. Cannot be normal summon / set. Must first be special summon from your hand by sending 2 cubic monsters you control to the graveyard. If special summoned this way, it gains 1600 attack. So I guess the little guys are all 0/0, but they gain attack when they're special summoned. Effect number 2 with this card is special summoned from the hand, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Effect number 3, at the end of the damage step that this card attacked or was attacked, you can target up to 2 jam the cubic spawn in your graveyard. Send this card to the graveyard if you do special summon those targets, and then add 1 Indira Deathbolt, the Cubic Supreme Emperor, from your deck to your hand. How many fucking cards do they have? Holy crap. I don't even... Okay, that card is in here. Alright, so this is that's just one of the little ones, I guess. Then we have Buster Gandhair, the Cubic Supreme Beast. This is a light beast, 0/0, cannot be special set or cannot be normal or set. And this guy has to send 3 cubic monsters to the graveyard that you control from your hands. If this guy special summoned this way, he gains 3000 attack. This card can make up to 3 attacks during each battle phase, because that's, oh my god, because you need a 3000 attack monster that can just do 9000 damage. Of course. What? Okay. Effect number 3, if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, battle, or card effect, you can target up to 3 cubic monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. Then you can add 1 cubic card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Okay, this seems like one of the best ones. Like, I know you have to give up 3 cards to summon it, but holy shit, 3 attacks, and when it dies, it just pays for itself. Wow, 3000. Okay, balanced. And then the last cubic card is Gaira, Gale of the Cubic Empire. Wait, where's the jam card at? Maybe I missed it. This one is level 2. It's a wind fairy, 0/0, cannot be normal or set. I guess this deck would be like broken if you could just normal or set these guys. Yeah, that would be kind of like too broken. Must first be special summoned by sending 1. This card gains 800 attack when it's special summoned. If this card is special summoned from the hand, inflict 800. Oh wait, is this the same card? Gale, let's see. Huh, for a second I was like, is this the same card? It's not the same card. Okay, so if this one is special summon, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. At the end of the damage set that this card was attacked or this card was attacked or attacked, you can target 2 jam the cubic spawn from your graveyard. Send this card to the graveyard, and if you do special summon those targets, then add 1 Vulcan Dragny, the Cubic Emperor, from your deck to your hand. Okay, so that is the Cubic archetype in a nutshell. I think, again, they seem extremely top heavy, and I just thought about this. I'm going to break this into 2 videos because I'm sure this has been like 15 minutes long or so. But the archetype definitely has some fucking crazy shit that it can do. Cutting life points in half, 3000 attack monsters that can not only attack twice but attack 3 times. You've got this fusion monster that cuts life points in half, can attack twice, is basically a Magispector, is... Dude, this is crazy. Now, I really want to play these cards when this archetype comes out. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.